Not everybody's gonna like this. This video is why I stopped being vegan. Now, before I go there, I'm gonna start with why I began the vegan journey in the first place. It all started about 10 years ago when I decided to eat less meat. I wanted to be vegetarian for all of the different reasons, like economic, political, social, environmental, health. I just thought that it was the right thing to do. This is what I'd been taught. If you want to be a good human, you got to stop eating meat. And so I became a vegetarian. And then through researching and diving in and being in communities with vegans and vegetarians, I was taught that all animal byproducts are wrong. And so I gave them all up. I decided I wanted to be the best version of myself. I wanted to be the healthiest, the strongest, the most righteous, the most spiritual I could. And so I gave up all animal products. And I was vegan for 5 years. Now, the first few years were really great. And then the last 2 years, my health started to decline. I noticed I was anxious. I was having mood imbalances. I started to have hypothyroid issues. My digestion was off. I found myself to have low energy, and all my blood test results were coming back with having anemia, low B vitamins, and a lot of different challenges. And so it was interesting because I looked at my stress levels. I looked at maybe I was working out too much. I evaluated my whole life, and while there were obviously imbalances like we all have, one of the main things that kept coming up by all of my practitioners and my coworkers, my family and my friends, were, Sam, maybe you should try integrating meat into your life again. And I did not want to hear that. I was so against the idea of eating meat because I identified with being vegan. This was a part of my identity. This is who I was at the time. My community, my followers, my Instagram, it was all around my vegan story and my vegan lifestyle and my vegan recipes. And so I wasn't even open to the idea that being vegetarian and being vegan was leading to my health challenges. So I continued on for 2 years until my body collapsed. I could not digest anything. I had hypothyroidism. My hormones were totally out of whack. I was having panic attacks and I was super depressed. Not to mention the anemia and the blood levels that were just not balanced. So finally, after a lot of kicking and screaming, I decided to reintegrate meat into my life. And that's where I started to get better. My health started to improve. I noticed more energy, more vitality. I noticed that I actually could think clearly. My hormones were starting to regulate. I was getting stronger again. And it was really interesting because of the aversion that I had. And so I started to analyze this and I studied this endlessly for the last 5 years because I stopped being vegan now almost 5 years ago. And this is something that I really want to talk about. The different reasons why I stopped being vegan are primarily to end the binary thinking of black versus white, good versus bad, right versus wrong, like vegan versus not vegan. That polarized extremity is actually what causes so many of us suffering. So one, I needed to end binary thinking and operating, recognizing that things are not black and white. Then I also realized that it's actually not healthier for everyone to be vegan. We are all so bio-individual. We are all unique and different. And what your needs are different than my needs and different than his needs or her needs or their needs. And so we all have a unique blueprint, and what works best for one doesn't necessarily work best for the other. And so shifting from what seems to work best in a textbook or for the banana girl in Australia might be different for me. And I actually need to figure that out for myself by being open to what my body responds to, what my biochemistry responds to. And now there could be so many differences. I am originally European, my blood is O negative, I'm an athlete, my body composition, my Ayurvedic composition. There's so many different factors that show me that eating animal products in an ethical way, yes, but having some animal products actually does benefit me. And I've seen this with hundreds of my clients now. I have had so many people come to me after some of my articles I've written or some of the stories that I've shared that being vegan actually didn't work for them, and they felt so much better when integrating meat into their life. So I just want to let you know that there's not a right versus wrong answer for anyone. That's just a blanket statement. It really is bio-individual. The next thing is that eating meat actually can be and is ethical if done in the right way, through biodynamic farming, through eating organic, locally sourced, grass-fed animals that are slaughtered ethically and that are consumed mindfully and in the appropriate portions. Like, we definitely do not need to be eating meat 3 times a day. We don't need to be eating these however 40-ounce steaks. Like, that's just too much for the body, and it's wasteful, it's gluttonous. And yet, if you have small portions of ethically raised meat a couple times a week, that is ethical, and it does keep the symbiosis, the environment, in balance. Because if we use all of our crops to grow all of the grains, well, that isn't environmental either, and it actually throws off the natural balance of nature if we are not farming, and we are not, well, not necessarily just farming, but more so when we come into the topic of hunting. Like, if we were not to hunt, there would be a natural imbalance in nature. And so, touching upon some of these topics, that there is a natural way to farm, biodynamic farming, organic farming. I'm not saying now go and eat factory farm chicken. That's not what I'm about, but really making sure that you're sourcing ethically in a way that supports the environment. So to really honor the cycle of life. The next thing is that it's a personal preference. And we're in a society where we're so used to telling everybody what they should and shouldn't do, and to point fingers and to blame and to shame and to say, you're wrong, I'm right, like, that's worse, this is better. And that's war, right? Me against you, good versus bad, right versus wrong, evil versus whatever, righteous. It's all just creating war. And it's again that binary, it's again that separation. So what if things aren't actually black or white? What if it is all gray? What if it is all perception? What if reality is your perception? And what if it's okay to have a personal preference? What if it's okay to want to eat meat? Like, if we really think about that, what if it actually is a spiritual practice? Because if you dive right into it and you think about the animal, the energetics that you bless and receive and assimilate into your body, spiritually and energetically, it gets to live through you by becoming your body through gluconeogenesis, through the breakdown of amino acids. It literally gets to live its life force through you, just like the plant became a part of the animal. The animal becomes a part of us, and when we die, we become a part of the worms. It's all an ecosystem. And so if we're connecting to the source of our food, to the animals that we are consuming in a spiritual way, energetically, through gratitude and blessing our food and allowing it to nourish us so that we can go out and do great things in the world, I do see that as a spiritual practice. And while there may be so many people that disagree that it's murder, or that it's unethical, or that there's a hierarchy and oppression of a life force because they don't have the same opportunities, if that is your perception, then that is your reality. And yet what I would love is to invite you to question. If you are very, very polar, if you're very strict in your ways of seeing things and believing things, and your constructs and identities are so tightly wound, I would love for you to just take the opportunity to reflect and to question, right? To question, to say, like, do I have to be 100%? Or can I fall somewhere along the spectrum? Like, I like to call myself, I'm 85% vegan. But what does that even mean? Okay, I eat plant-based foods, natural foods, and then yes, I also eat meat once in a while. And so to not identify and get myself so wrapped up in all of the constructs that I am vegan, because the thing is that I am nothing. If I'm vegan one day and then not vegan the next day, what am I? I'm nothing. It's so fluid. It's always changing. It's always evolving. And so as humans, we love to stick ourselves in these little boxes and to identify and to stick ourselves into these constructs. And that yet when you really realize that you are everything and you are nothing, and that identifying with these things, these constructs, these boxes that are external to you to try to feel safe in your identity, to identify with others, to feel a part of something, to feel like me versus them, are you actually benefiting yourself in the world, or are you just continuing this binary, polarized, me versus them operating system, which is essentially the energetics of war? So is it possible to bridge the gap, to unify, and to recognize that neither is better nor worse? There is just an ethical way of experiencing and seeing and operating, and to realize the flexibility and the perceptual nature of all of reality, and then to just trust that there are different ways and they can all be right. And what's most important is to really feel into what's right for you now, and know that that might be different than what was right for you yesterday, and it might be different than what's right for you tomorrow. So if you are somebody that is playing with, do I need to be vegan? Do I need to be paleo? Do I need to be ketogenic? Like, if it's a struggle for you, I invite you to just tune into your body and really align with what's true for you, and to trust that, and to stand in your sovereignty around your decision, because no matter what you do, somebody's always going to tell you you're wrong anyways. They're always going to challenge you. Like, you're never going to please everybody. But what you do need to please is the truth inside yourself. And so I love for you to invite you to explore what that is. And if you need any help navigating what's true for you, please reach out. If you like this, please like. If you find it inspiring, let me know. If you want to share this with somebody, please do. If you hate it and you think I'm a total jerk for saying these things, let me know as well. I'm really open to all of that. I accept your feedback. And again, #RealTalk if you're following what I'm saying. Mwah.